SocialEx, coming to you live from real life. Are you using the soap in there? Okay, scrub those feet. Life doesn't stop for podcasts. 7-year-old shower time is always an adventure. Hey, Ian.
What?
Have you washed anything else except for your feet?
Yeah.
What else have you washed?
My hands.
Your hands. Okay. There's a lot of stuff in between your feet and your hands. Can you stand up and wash?
Okay.
Thank you.
Washing my belly part.
You're washing your belly button?
Yeah.
All right. At least that will be clean.
Soap is hugging it.
Oh, this is real. This is the real deal. All right, I'm going to step out for a minute. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes to wash.
Soap is hugging arms.
Welcome to my life. So I thought, in the spirit of life as a social experiment, that I should broaden the intimacy, deepen the intimacy, whatever adjective you want to insert there. There's a lot of innuendos. Yeah, this is part of the experiment. You can get a little window on what real life is happening in the background, and it's just not me chit-chatting at the phone. So yeah, that's a start. Episode 14. We're gonna start that new trend. See how far it goes. See if I can stand it. If my kids can stand it. So I wanted to get to a larger topic outside of the 7-year-old showering, and so he's ready to get out. All right, we're gonna pause for a moment. Okay, he's done. And he's sort of dry. And I'm hoping at this point he's put on his superhero underwear and is dressed, but I cannot guarantee it. Unless you're simply hosing them off in the yard, bathing small children is quite an adventure in that I feel half the time like a border collie chasing them up the stairs, which takes a while, getting them into the room, and then waiting for them to at least take one article of clothing off before I turn the shower on. Because if they don't make any effort to get the clothing off before I turn the shower on, the water is running for what seems to be an eternity before they actually get undressed. Then when they get in, they play with the soap and assume it's gonna wash them just by magic? I don't know. So if I knew when I had children that I was still going to be wrestling with them at age 7 and 11 to get themselves clean, I don't know. Still would have done it. At least the oldest is self-sufficient in that area. And I don't know. I don't know if the boys will get there or not, but we're working at it. So here I am. And I'm doing a podcast while the children are home, and I generally don't do that. And I don't know if this is going to work out or not, because my mind splits. And when my mind splits, I can't think deeply. But I'm going to try, because I think it also lends an extra level of realness to what I'm trying to do here. I'm not doing this in a vacuum. I'm not sitting here by myself. I've got 3 people who depend on me who are downstairs. But they don't need me right now. And as soon as I walk into the room, if I do, they usually ask me to retrieve something. So I'm really just the wait staff. And wait staff is on break. So I'm up here and I won't go down until I'm done. Anyway, been a great, relaxing day. And a day where I didn't do any significant amount of work. But what I did do was I tried to think of how, in what direction I want to take this project. And you are all on board for this project as it goes down the tracks, with no particular destination in mind. But in the back of my head, I do have a purpose. And I want to be honest with myself and with you. And, in explaining what this purpose is going forward. And I'm hoping that some of these words, some of these thoughts, all these interesting viewpoints on life, and I say that in a sarcastic manner, really, not, my viewpoints are not to be elevated to any level, but they are unique in that they come from a framework of mind that was molded in a very interesting way. And so I've wrestled with that all my life, and I'm now treating it as an asset. For a long time, I didn't. And actually, up until 2 years ago, I didn't. And I'm now seeing my ability to see directly into people, to see things, to observe things and opportunities and avenues that don't always exist for other people, or not exist, but they don't see them. I've got not a larger, but maybe a different visual field, psychological field. And I know that now, and I understand that. I understand where it came from, and that the situations that made me who I am today aren't all positive. But I believe that, all that tension and friction has, surfaced a diamond, let's say. Not invaluable, but unique and beautiful in its own right. And so with that asset, I am going forward and trying new things, and I'm hoping that these talks can maybe someday end up being, a book, or maybe even a movie or something, because it needs to get out of my mouth. It needs to get out of my head and manifest in some way that I can set it free, and it can help other people. And if it helps pay my kids' way to college, and if it helps me just not live paycheck to paycheck, that would be a plus. Now, I have not figured out a way to monetize any of this. And in the beginning, I didn't want to even think about that, because it kind of cheapens everything that I'm doing. However, this is real life, and I'm struggling every day. So I'm hoping that this art form will turn into something eventually. Maybe it'll be after I'm dead. And if so, great. The money can go to the kids. If it's a great movie and it's starring some really, cool movie stars, things like that, that would be great too. Anyway, can you imagine my life as a movie? And who would play my child in the shower, only washing his feet? I don't know. Gosh, it's so fun to think about. So My life as a social experiment. What does it mean? I need to verbalize this better. This is my driving force. This is my mission statement. My life as a social experiment. All right, I'm going to give it a shot. So I know in the back of my head I've got some sort of direction, obviously, or I wouldn't be moving. But it's not super clear as to what I'm thinking. And I guess, and I've been flipping through old writings, and, one of them says that, oh gosh, I have to find it. Of course, I don't have it open. I was just looking at it and got distracted by the shower. So I write all the time. Actually, not as much as I used to. But this sentence here, it's actually a paragraph. So I'll read it. And it's not super well written, but it is what it is. It says, I have struggled with my own self-worth for decades and have made it my mission to find out what went wrong. How can I help my children if I am lost at sea? I'm currently anchored to earth by my children, so when I take a dive or drift out with a storm, I don't go missing anymore. I am finally tethered and always come back with reports from the depths. This is my purpose. I know that now. One isn't granted the experiences I've had just to simply endure them. If you listen to episode 1 through 13, you'll get a really good history of my past. And it's certainly not complete, not at all. And I've struggled with that because my life as a social experiment should be pretty wide open and everything on the table. But there are parts of the story that I cannot tell, and they still cloud the other pieces of the story. So when there's pauses and I'm looking for ways to say things, it's because I'm trying to reroute around certain things that just cannot be said. Not yet, anyway. So it's making this project hard, actually. So I'm going to look at the mission itself instead of going into details of the story, because I think that's where I'm getting caught. That's the dam in the river that keeps catching it. It blocks the flow. And this has always been the problem with me healing and getting past certain things, is that there's a net, or there's a wall, let's say, set up. Maybe it's even like a vault, and there's stuff sealed inside, and it's sitting dead center in the middle of the flow of my thoughts and feelings and momentum, and that thing's just not going to move. So I've got to learn to work around it, for now at least, and accomplish what I want to accomplish. And now this is a hard way to go about life. Anyone with trauma or tragedy, PTSD, those things are imprinted for life. They make daily tasks difficult. They make certain details of life even more challenging. But they don't disappear. And in what I'm struggling with is the fact that, I've got to leave that door shut, or it'll hurt other people. So I'm going to leave it shut. And if that's my choice, then I've got to manage around it. So if this is my life as a social experiment, it's not a legitimate scientific study, because I took a whole bunch of the data out of the observation pool. Can't look at it.